approach animated voiceover roles differently than you would a live action role? And if so, how?
Well, yes, but this is a live action role.
Okay.
We film it and then we film it in live action.
Okay.
We film it like in a black box setting, in a room smaller than this actually, with practical things like a table and a chair, and then everything else is painted in. So you do approach voice acting different from live action, but this was live action. And the things that were different about it are that we're only interacting with certain things. So sometimes there are things that are taped out onto the floor. Like, oh, by the way, you just walked through a couch. That's going to be painted in later. So just remember there's a couch here and don't walk through it. But if you and I are doing a dinner scene, they would wheel out a table and 2 chairs and props that we absolutely have to interact with. And all of those things would be roto-lined, which means traced, and then hand-painted in later. But all of the backdrops are actually, you didn't ask this, but I'm going to tell you. They're all hand-painted, classically painted oil paintings. So even something as banal as a tiled wall in a bathroom is a classically painted oil painting. So there's something like 200 oil paintings per episode. Yeah.
So it's kind of like what they used to call rotoscoping. Now,
yes.
Instead of doing it manually, it's all like
it is, and the first Disney films were made that way. They were filmed live action, and then they were traced because they didn't know how to animate that yet. So it is very much that same style that Disney used in the very beginning. Only now we do have the technology that we have now. So it's more crisp, it's more lifelike, it's more rich.
What did you think the first time you saw yourself on screen in that format?
Well, it's interesting because I've done this before where I'm like, oh, that's me. But that was a more mutated version of me. This is just simply me. This is like everything is in the right proportion up there. So I loved it. I love doing things like that because I like to disengage with myself, my body, my skeleton. I like to experience it from the way you experience it, and I can because I have this sort of barrier, although it's undeniably me. I loved it. When I saw it, I was extremely proud of it, and they let me watch the first 2 episodes. They gave me a link, which never give anyone a link. But I watch it religiously over and over and over again. I'm hypercritical. I can find something wrong in heaven. I can always find something. I'm so critical of my work. I'm extremely hard on myself. But I could find nothing wrong with it, and it I'm so proud of it. I'm probably the proudest of this than I've ever been of anything in my life because it touches on a few key themes that I dealt with in my own life. Mental illness, the death of a father, charged relationship with a mother, sibling relationship, lover relationship, and questioning my own reality and my own spirituality. So what did I feel when I watched it for the first time? Everything. I cried a lot. I still cry. I almost cried on stage after I almost got fired from Comic-Con. Yeah, right out of the gate. I love to just cuss a lot. I don't like it.
What can you tell us about the character itself?
Yeah. Well, almost 28 years old. And she's having sort of a quarter-life crisis. That seems kind of a layman's term for her, but that's what she's going through. She's seeing, I'm at this age where I'm seeing the monotony, I'm seeing the patterns here, and is this it? Is there nothing more to it than this? I wake up, I get dressed, I eat breakfast, I go to work, I come home. I wake up, I get dressed, I eat breakfast, I go to work, I come home. I wake up, I eat breakfast, I get... Is that it? So she starts to unravel in a way. She lost her father. Nobody really wants to talk about it. Her sister is very much like, you grow up, you get married, you have kids, and then you grow old, and then you have grandkids, and the whole plan is there. I have a 10-year plan. She's the opposite side of the spectrum, which, quite frankly, it seems like an antidote because it's just, she's not aware that you're on this like treadmill, sister. So she gets into a fight with her sister, and she suffers a near fatal car accident. She slips into a coma, and when she wakes up, thank you. She starts to be able. She starts to see her deceased father and communicate with him. And she asked him, "Am I going crazy? Like Geraldine, her grandmother who suffered from schizophrenia. Am I going crazy?" And his answer is quite vague. He's like, "No, well, kind of." And I think that's really the question we're all sort of asking the whole series: is she just crazy? Is none of this real? Is this all in her mind, or is she a shaman? Does she have magical abilities, or is she just schizophrenic? Is this just she just hit her front temporal lobe and now she's crazy? So she's sort of going on this journey through her spirituality, trying to figure out her own, where she is in this world, what is her own reality, while also going on a journey with her dead father back to the night where he was killed, to see if she can change the course of events so she could have him back. Got it?
Sorry, last question.
Simple, right?
How do you feel like this show deals with that manipulation of time in a unique way? Because we've seen time manipulation done in other things before. How do you feel like this show brings a unique perspective to that?
Well, I think it's unique because we do it in rotoscope. And when you have that ability to seamlessly morph in and out of scenes, seamlessly morph from floating through sky to falling into a bed, it becomes more fluid. We don't know where one thing begins and one thing ends. And through animation, you can really start to mess with where we are, when it is. If it's 2 weeks from now, we can morph everything around us to be 2 weeks from now. It also kind of makes you lost in a way. You're like, well, actually, where am I? And I think that's on purpose, because you're with her on this journey, and when you're confused, she's confused. I mean, imagine how much of a mind blank, mind fuck that would be.
There you go.
If you suddenly were sort of falling through time and space and repeating things that you had just done. When she's going through that, you're going through that. And because we did it through rotoscope, you can have her in a hospital bed and you can have the world flying by, and you can really start to grasp those intangible aspects of what it's like to have a panic attack, what it's like to have a mental breakdown, what it's like to see beyond what you and I don't know about you, but what it's like to see beyond the curtain, what it's like maybe for a guy who's on a street corner having a full-on conversation with someone who isn't there. Maybe they are there. So when you have this ability to do it in animation, you have the ability to do it in rotoscope. That's really going to afford you a lot of liberties when you're dealing with that time-space bending aspect.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.